Today's horoscope from Astrocademy, Capricorn August 31, 2022. The moon spends the day in the sign behind yours, and you tend to lay low, craving some release from overstimulation. Still, Mercury moves into your solar 9th house for a stay until May 27th, and you're thinking ahead. You're putting recent events and ideas into perspective during this cycle. It's a great time for big ideas that come from thinking in broad terms but not necessarily reliable for their practical implementation that comes at a later date. There can be connections that expand your mind during this cycle. You are a little braver when expressing your opinions and sharing your ideas. You're pleasantly challenged to think more deeply about big life questions and refine your perspective and viewpoints. You learn better through experience than through rote now. It's a positive cycle for sharing your ideas, learning new things, and building your knowledge. Much needed getaway with your lover? This break is long overdue, so don't hesitate to take a step back for the time being. Besides, in addition to the moon entering Virgo and your sleepy 12th house of rest, closure, and surrender, its celestial ruler, Mercury, will also make its annual debut in Pisces via your 9th house of adventure, expansion, and unknown territory. So, if you're not taking this time to wander off with your sweetheart, it's still an excellent time for soul searching nonetheless. Others of you may meet someone who piques your interest in the meantime. Where could your hope take you in your professional journey? Mercury exits Virgo and enters Pisces today, which now trines your sign. The fluid trine allows you to intuitively follow your imagination and hope, creating an idealistic approach to your professional development. You will begin to dream of educational opportunities to advance and even possibilities to travel for your career. The only potential setback to this could be Mercury's inability to commit to a plan of action. Your wandering mind could be unable to decide, so use your leadership abilities to move forward with your curiosities. Over 2 months after first returning for what is normally a 14 to 15-day visit to your financial sector, Mercury finally leaves today, but not before leaving you with a smart head for money and more tools in your toolbox than you had at the start of the year. With Venus and Mars still in their early days here and still aligned, Mercury leaves you with the smart head for money and confidence needed to take your financial power back. Your optimistic and positive charisma are magnetic. A friend or family member may need your help fairly soon, so don't hesitate to offer them assistance, since you have the necessary resources. It will definitely make you feel good to help others, knowing that they will remember you for it. An old situation that you thought was at rest may flare up between you and a family member or an old, dear friend. Try your best to find common ground or things might get harder. Full of positive energy, it seems your efforts have paid off. Be sure you don't get too carried away, just because others find it difficult to refuse you. Try to remain modest. In spite of the attention and flattery you receive, other people also like to have some attention paid to them. Give recognition where it's due. Once you have set your own health goals, you will inevitably compare your health habits to other people's. This is natural in the beginning and can be either encouraging or discouraging. The goal is really to focus on yourself and refrain from comparison or judgment. Just take yourself and your goals seriously. If it helps, write down your intentions for the day and check them off at night. Reward yourself for healthy behavior, perhaps with a nice bubble bath. This is the day to get caught up. The essence of this day vibration will encourage you to finish up those tasks that have been in process. Not only will this be evident on the job scene, your home can also pose several chores to keep you busy. Feeling productive is something that suits you very well, and this is definitely the day to make this happen. Just be sure that you leave enough time to wind down and relax when all is said and done. The sun's first full day in a nostalgic and reflective part of your chart and of the month-long wind down of this current solar year was always going to bring a call to pull back. Even more so with Mercury not only in his last full day here but in retrograde motion is creating a lot of nostalgia. While the sun is here for another month, Mercury will be gone by tomorrow, and next week is set to be even busier, and especially professionally. Even Mars, in his last weekend in an adventurous part of your chart, is urging you to embrace the weekend spirit. Thanks to the moon's departure from your relationship sector yesterday and an eclipsing full moon that this time last week was just starting to build, you are more emotionally engaged and aware. The forces behind a romantically charged lunar eclipse are still there, and so too are those on the relationship front, leaving you with something to remain connected to. Our eyes in the sky. Venus and Jupiter share a minor aspect, as do the North Node of Destiny in Chiron, creating an intense, goal-oriented vibe. This aspect can stir obsessiveness around status and work, which might verge on the unhealthy due to an opposition with Venus. There is danger that your drive and dedication to accomplish certain things will blind you and throw you off balance when it comes to matters of the heart. Insecurity about failure could be magnified, and trying to calm down could be hard. Your close relationships might not be able to understand or relate to this mental state, and there's a risk that this could cause problems. You also need to keep an eye out for controlling behaviors in others as well as yourself. There is also the potential for issues with maternal figures, so try to avoid any confrontations with your mother. As we move into the afternoon, a quincunx between the North Node and healing asteroid Chiron can inspire us to talk out and work through our issues. Unfortunately, this aspect is choppy, and the disconnect we're feeling with regard to others might not heal as easily as we'd like. Mercury and Uranus share a minor connection, and that combined with the over-the-top energy from Jupiter and Venus could take us to a brink that ends either in a blow-up or an agree-to-disagree handshake. Whichever direction you choose to go, you'll be feeling a lot lighter by bedtime. In the pre-dawn hours, the moon enters Libra, ending its void of course which began last night. Over the next 2 days, we are increasingly preoccupied with achieving peace and harmony in our lives. We now realize that intentions set during the Virgo new moon are only achievable with the help of others. To this end, we seek out relationships with those who share our goals. We should simply be mindful not to adapt our objectives to appeal to social convention. It's possible to attain consensus without sacrificing our own needs. After sunup, the Libra moon aligns with Mercury, making us social. We want to be around people and exchange ideas. Conversations are pleasant but somewhat superficial. We can walk away from a dialogue feeling that we have just spent a good deal of time parroting another's opinions, or that another has done the same to us. There is nothing wrong with agreeing on points, but later in the day, we'll realize that we've talked in circles to avoid stepping on another's toes. That being said, if we are currently fighting over a difference of opinion, a consensus can now be reached.